So the purpose of Airparser is to automate the data extraction of your documents in just minutes. So it's basically AI that is created to read your documents, whether it be email, PDFs, other documents like Excel files, CSV files, those types of things. And it can create structured data out of that, which we need to be able to provide to Zapier that can then insert that information into a QuickBooks Online transaction. Okay, so if you don't already have Airparser, you're going to need to set up a subscription for that. We're going to take a quick look at this. You'll see there are different pricing plans for the software, and you are going to need to have a paid version. There's no way around it. You have a starter version. This is on a monthly basis. It's $39. I would recommend you use that until you're comfortable that this is a tool that you want to use. And if you are, then you can switch to the annual subscription. And so you're going to probably end up with either the starter or the growth plan. Most likely you're going to start with starter once you know that you're on a monthly basis using at least 100 credits per month. A credit is usually per page of your document. So just keep that in mind, and every time you reprocess, you pay, I believe you pay for a credit. So I may be wrong on that, but that's what I remember. So if you decide you need more than 100 credits per month, you'll have to move up to the growth plan. So just be aware of that. All right, so in Zapier, we're going to go back in here, and I realized when I did this that you can't just extract the data straight from Outlook out of the email itself. That doesn't seem to work very well. So I'm actually going to change this action here, and I'm going to change it up here where it says Airparser. I'm going to go back to Outlook, and I'm going to click on my action. It's going to be to send an email. And again, for my Outlook connection, from my email, put my name, to, all right, so the to is gonna be important. So let's go back out to Airparser. I've got it open, and I'm gonna click back to inboxes so you can see this. So this is the main page. You can see all your inboxes that you have for this. So basically Airparser creates an inbox for each automation that you want it to read. So you can have all these different setups for each of your vendors or each of your customers. It just depends on what it is you're wanting to do here. In our case, we're exploring the idea of doing multiple vendors in one email inbox. So I've got this one already set up, so I'm going to click on that. And I'm just going to show you briefly what all the different screens are here. We have an inbox. This is the thing that you look for to see if maybe a file has been processed or not. Parse data, you're really not going to do anything. It's more of a log. The extraction schema it tells you what fields you have already created for the AI to look for in the document. And we'll spend a little bit more time on that in a little while. Post-processing is the option to take the data that it parses, that Airparser parses from the document initially, and then does some additional work to it to get it into a format that you might want. We're not going to use that today in our example, so but that's something that you can learn. I actually don't know how to code, so I use ChatGPT to help me code some specific ones, specifically for multi-line transactions, some more complex transactions with vendors. Integrations, I'm set up with Zapier. That's the only thing I'm set up with here on the screen. Make is another option that you can use. I found it just a little bit too complex for me to understand how to use it, so Zapier seems to work best with my brain. So that's what it's connected to. And then most importantly, you have your inbox settings where you see your inbox name. You've got the LLM engine, so the AI that it's going to use. You don't get to pick between ChatGPT, Claude, anything like that. It's just gives you some options on how it's going to read it. I'm not sure what they're using in the background specifically for this. Then you'll see the different models that they have, how it can read it. So different LLMs will read your data a little bit differently, and it talks about these parsing models here as well. So some good resources in terms of picking which one you're going to use. Core 1 will usually work just fine. In fact, they just updated that a couple days ago, and it is working faster, and it is making fewer mistakes. So AI can make some mistakes, and so it's important to review your work. All right, delete documents. You can decide how long Airparser keeps a particular document that it's processed. Default's 30 days. I have mine set for 90, which I can under my subscription. You have to pay more to have that. So it does get rid of those documents after a period of time. Email processing, we're going to want to set up for process email and attachments by default. In some situations, and the reason for that, is some of your bills and some of your receipts that come in email come as part of the email. It's just embedded in the email. So you need Airparser to parse your email. And then some of them have the PDF documents attached, and so you want it to be able to parse your attachments as well. So, all right, usually don't worry about extracting XML, and I don't split PDFs files into multiple documents. That's usually not a problem. It's not something I've run into. And then I also enable post-processing, which you talked about a little bit ago. Really don't need it in this scenario, but I always leave it checked just in case I want it. And then it's important to grab some meta fields, all right? So you need to pull the sender email, especially when you're doing processing email and attachments. We might need to do some filtering in Zapier, and it's helpful to have the sender email, the subject, the name of the document if there is one, and the download URL, which is critically important for all the automation as we move forward, okay? So this is the inbox that I want to use in my automation. So I'm going to click on copy the email address. I'm going to go back to Zapier and I am going to plug that in. And then you can put a subject in there. So I'm just going to grab it from the subject here and the body format. You're going to pick HTML, and the body that you want to grab is the body content. Okay, and then if you have any attachments, you're going to want to add those here. So I'm going to click on attachments. Click on this plus and type in attachment and click on that. So it says there's no data because there really isn't anything there, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and hit that, and I'm going to hit continue. And at this point, we can test it. So I'm going to go ahead and click my test. And then I'm going to go out to Airparser. I'm going to go to my inbox, and I'm going to see that that is already processing that particular order. It's converting that information. It is parsed, so it's done. So if I click on that, I'm going to see all this information. It's hard to read it, but I've got a description field, subscription renewal for serial number, the invoice order date, the invoice receipt order number, the total amount, the vendor name. I also have who sent that. That was me. I had forwarded that to that particular email I grabbed was a forward, and then subject from the original email, the download URL. So this is the critically important part right here that it gleaned, or it parsed out of all of this data. All right, so that is the step in getting the information into Airparser so that it can do its job. Let's take a look at doing that for the other document or the other email. So if I go back to test this again in Zapier, I'm gonna go back to the first step. So all we're doing is we're testing at this point, which is great. So I'm gonna hit continue, and this time I'm gonna select this message B, and I'm gonna continue with that. And I wanna send an email, and I'll configure that. Make sure it's on HTML, okay. I'm gonna hit continue, and I am going to retest the step. I'm gonna go back to Airparser, and I'll refresh the screen, and here comes this bill. So remember, these are two different bills, right? Two different formats, and it's going to parse that information. I'm gonna click on it. You'll see here's what it looks like in HTML. I can see the description of what was purchased, the order date, the receipt order number, if there's one, total amount, vendor name, all the pertinent information that I need. So that works, okay? So that's the first step. So in Zapier, what we're gonna find out is when it's monitoring an email folder, it has to, the automation has to be broken down into at least two steps. One is for Zapier to retrieve the email and forward that onto the Airparser. And then we're gonna find that the next step is the next Zapier task that we're gonna create is to say, once Airparser has completed parsing that data, then let's enter that QuickBooks transaction. We're gonna cover that next. Forward that on to Airparser.